Hope everything's going well for you. I've been wanting to do this for a long, long time about my dye reduction when it comes to multicolor dyeing and getting many shades of the same color when we go to do our dyeing. So just wanted to kind of go over a couple things this week. First of all, I want to thank my son and daughter for being here and helping me with this. Um, but for some people that haven't been watching, this was a thought and something that I wanted to do since November. Really heavy on my heart that this can help a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And this is probably one of the biggest things that most people struggle with. Not all, but a lot of people struggle with this. Okay. Little story about me, and just so you can understand, I think a lot of people can relate to this as a youngster doing the leather craft. When it came to learning and doing my dyeing, I had to self-teach myself. Okay. And so in fifth grade at 10 years old, uh, by seventh grade, I was doing a lot of experimenting and doing things. And as I, grew and grew into the trade and doing it more and more, selling at junior high and high school, continuing on and on. Just getting out of high school, I worked for Tandy Leather. And the reason I tell you the story, it all come together in the end, is working there for a little over 2 years. I seen a lot of people want to buy the air compressor and the airbrush and do all this type of work to get all these variants, different colors of browns and blues and greens, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't see a whole lot of success with people doing that, and it would really kind of get to me because first of all, I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of money. I know I can afford that. I mean, the air compressor and the airbrush at that time was still $130. Then they come out this deluxe model for 229, and I'm thinking, man, that is a lot of money. And I just seen so much, so many people come back to the store and say, I just don't get this. It clogs up all the time. It just I can't get the color. Go to feed it, and then I ruin my project because then it spits and just not a whole lot of luck with it. And I said, man, I'm glad I can't afford it. And so I never went that way. So over the years, I says, man, there's got to be a way of doing this without having to spend a lot of money. And so what I did is over the years of 50 years, of course, back in late 80s, I come up with a technique to do this. And it was all because I was just getting into doing my guitar straps and that I came up with this thought and idea, and I ran with it. And sure enough, that was the thing to do and work with. The only difference is you're using rags, daubers, Q-tips, and brushes, and you can imagine the variants of brushes, hundreds of different brushes that you use. And so what it is takes a little longer in certain areas, but you don't have to worry about when you go to adjust the tip on the airbrush that it doesn't shoot in too far, and now you just ruin your holster that you just did that was $200. It wasn't worth it. So at times it might take a little longer, but in the end, it's definitely worth the time and effort to learn it and do it the way I'm going to teach you. And hopefully I'll take that at heart because this is something that I was self-taught and something I just wanted to share. Because I watch some of the different pages online in that, and I wanted to share this one with you that I seen this week. There's a gentleman that was doing. He had died a project, and after he died the project, people that have watched this before, and I say for people that are going to start at the beginning that are new watching this, if you start from the beginning, you'll learn a lot here. But once you dye something and it dries, okay, once the pores of the leather are filled up, what lays on the top is the pigment, the excess dye, because once they're filled, it's going to dry on top, and that's where your pigment is. And this particular person just told them to take a clean rag and wipe it back and forth dry and smearing it, to get that off. So what they done is they just took the pigment and smeared it back and forth and actually caused some of the pores to clog. Okay. So then they discussed different things, what to use. And then one person said to use a damp sponge and so on and so forth and let it dry. And so now you figure at that point, now you've taken some of the dye off and some is still on. And so he just didn't have a whole lot of good luck. And then in the end, the piece of leather cracks. And why? Because all the alcohol from the dye has been in there, because that's what makes it go in and hold. And then he wiped it with the rag. So now he sealed it in there pretty much. And then when he watered, wet it with water, that didn't help matters either. So what happened is it never got cleaned back with, as you learned in the class with my students before, cleaning it with carnauba cream. And carnauba cream is a natural oil, which that's the reason you use that. And when you do that, of course, you use it with, now hold this up so people that, this here is, that's right here is where we're going to go with this camera. This is, sheepskin that's been veg tan, so where'd you go?
I moved it for the close-up, sorry.
Anyways, this is, if you notice, this is veg tan leather on the back. See the color there? And so the hair is more firm and not so soft. So works great for scrubbing and cleaning the excess dye that's on the surface. So, and of course, you get done scrubbing and cleaning it, and it looks like this and all that kind of stuff. But you've applied the carnauba onto here and you put it on and scrub in a circular motion, then back and forth. And that's what you get. You get all the excess dye that's on the surface off. And as you did that, the hair is rubbed and scrubbed and put the carnauba oil back down into the leather, the natural oil, because carnauba is a natural oil. So now you've reconditioned the leather from the alcohol dye that went into it, which you pulled oils from that leather. So you're actually cleaning and conditioning the leather at the same time. And then when the carnauba wax dries, it's dull on top. You then grab a piece of sheepskin that's been chrome tan, very soft, very fluffy, the hair. And so there, it's dry, it's dull, and you just gently buff it and you have a beautiful mellow gloss on it. Okay. So that was another part. And then on top, someone mentioned something about putting Resolene on there. Okay, Resolene kind of kind of reminds you a little bit of smelling some Vicks, a mild smell of Vicks Vapor Rub. But there again, it's been probably 20 years since I've even used that, and that'll give you an idea, maybe 30 years. But it just is something that Doug Monroe in this class, that's simply something that I'm sharing my knowledge and trying to help people. But that's what happened. And, the gentleman basically, run your project, no matter what it is. It's just, you got to learn and use and do the right things. So that was just one instant. And another person was making a band and done a beautiful job with dyeing it, and beautiful edge work that was done on it. And the back, he had just a sealer on the back. Okay, which that is fine. And the thing is, still on the back, then you see any excess dye antique is showed on the back. It's not like, it's, covered up. And not that your edge coat that I've taught my students here to use, where edge coat actually covers that up, seals it, and makes it the leather resistant from sweat and perspiration, which you have salt deposit in your sweat and perspiration, which breaks down the leather. So that's the purpose I teach of using the Angelus leather finish, edge leather finish, which is used for the back as well as the front. So that should have been applied to the back, because then that will add life and years to the band. So anyways, I just wanted to share those couple stories, because I'm out there and I see these different things, and sometimes you have to watch what you say. And so I'm just, there's a couple examples, that no, Doug doesn't know everything, but I try to point out that 50 years is a little bit more experience. But the point of the matter is, I like to see someone do it right, not spend hours and hours doing something and then they've ruined the project. So, but anyways, as you've seen about the dye reduction class, uh, the goal here is it's not so much about multi-colors of antiquing and sealing and edge coating. It's learning to get different shades of one color. Say if we have blue and we want to do, a light blue, a medium blue, a dark blue, a navy blue. It just, it's just amazing. But what we'll do, we'll dye this belt in the end, but it's simply to point out is when you have some fresh cut leather that's been done and tooled, you of course absolutely see the difference. It's like night and day. So you're going to have so much more beauty and mellow finish and luster to these three pieces versus this. This has had more, light from your light, your lighting in your home and business, etc. And then natural light outdoors makes it turn a pinkish and tan. So you don't have, good, beautiful contrast and color when your leather is like this. And that's kind of why it's important to keep your leather rolled up and put, in a bed where it's, away from light, because that's what happens. It changes color over time. So, so these here we've, cut and tooled them today. And so that way you're going to see different ones. So we'll get started here. So what we'll start with here is on some scrap, so you get to see what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Okay, so it's just, I have all kinds of scrap from doing tooling, last few weeks. Just something here I've been tinkering on, but it's, it's closer to the lighter color, so it's been out a little bit. But what you start out with, and for all the people in my class, and I meant to say this in the beginning too, is seems like week by week and now month by month, the number of people watching me is growing and growing and growing. And so the point of this matter is, I want to help as many people as I can, but people online, that watch this, that's great. But for people that are actually in my class, in my group, this is what's important, so not saying everybody on the outside should join my group, but the point is, when you join the group, these people that I take the time to talk to, tell them about my ministry and what I'm doing, these people are bending over backwards. They're doing everything they can to help my class and you folks there, which I think we're at 432 now. And so the point of it is the time and effort on the phone, talk to these different companies, tell them what I'm doing and what my daughter's doing and what my son's doing and how this ministry is growing. So the time that's dedicated with my daughter, son, and me, the goal is to take care of the people that join my group, because the people that join my group are going to be the only ones that benefit from these companies, and this is an example here. These bottles here, okay, these are 4-ounce bottles, American made, and there's quite a story behind this gentleman. Great story. But anyways, this is a 4-ounce bottle. It's used by Beans Chemical Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But I went right to the manufacturer. Why? Because it's about taking care of my class, taking care of my students, etc. So here's just an example. You go in and you buy yourself a quart of Beans leather dye. Okay, what is that? Usually $25 to $35. Okay. And I'm not expecting people to buy a bunch of these. Okay. I'm simply pointing out the cost factor. Say $30 for that quart of dye. So if you're with a leather guild, which I know there's people out there that's in a leather guild, or a friend or family member that would do it with you too, then this is going to be worth it. Okay. So I went right to the manufacturer and I got those. It worked out to be 32 cents a bottle. 32 cents. Okay. Um, Beans told me that I have to spend $150 to buy it from them for 50 cents. So I have to spend 150 to get for 50 cents. So what happened is I went to the manufacturer, minimum was 6 dozen, 72 bottles. Okay. So figure $29.95 for a quart of dye and $30. I got 72 of these. What am I going to do with 72? Of course, that's a lot for one person. And that's the reason I don't expect everybody to buy, 72 of these. It's just the point is, it's about saving you folks money. And the other thing is, if you have a leather guild or other friends, you go together and spend $15 a piece. $15 a piece, okay? And then your shipment, say, is 10 bucks, okay? So for $20, each of you got 3 dozen of these to play and mix with all these colors and to keep your costs down. And so that, right there is an example of what I'm talking about, of my family here trying to help the people in my group. Somebody from the outside that is watching this video when it's released to YouTube are not going to get these situations because of the company. You have to say that you're from my group or it's not going to happen. And the other thing that just happened was Springfield Leather Company. Okay. I've got a hold of a lady there that manages the place. And so now, for example, whether you buy a quart of dye, a stamping tool, a knife, some beads, whatever it may be in their catalog, the entire catalog. What's going to happen now is the people in my class, that 432 people and growing, you have to call and ask for Liz. Liz is running the show besides the owners of the company, Springfield Leather. Okay. And what's going to happen is you're going to now, from this point on, when you tell them you're from Doug's class, you're going to get everything for wholesale price. You're not going to pay retail. And most places you have to have a business license to buy wholesale. So after me sitting down and talking with them and my daughter and me working through things and getting this out, now my students, I say, you're not going to be paying, retail price anymore. You're going to be buying it for wholesale. It's going to save you a lot of money. And that's the whole point, is I'm here to help you folks, not just learn how to do the dyeing, but I'm also looking out for your pocketbook as well, because we all know how the economy is and how everybody's struggling. So that's the whole point of this. So I just want people, my students, I believe, understand this. I'm really putting my heart in this. I'm volunteering my time as well as my children. And the goal is to help people and help them save money at the same time. So I hope that helps everybody. But if you look in the file, and I think Amanda might be able to point out again where it is, where you go looking for it, and you go in there, you're going to get all the information of the phone numbers, who to call, who to talk to. And I believe Paul, in fact, with Angela Shoe Polish Company, has just gave us a new code for you. So I hope that helps everybody, because that's the goal. Is I want to help people and I want you to do it right. And I want you to be happy when you're done with your project, whatever you're doing or making. So now we're going to let's get into the lesson. That was very, very important to me, because we all here, my children, me, we put our heart into this and we just want things to go right. So as we get started here, we're going to start off with the Beans black oil dye. Okay. Very messy, of course. But anyways, when you go to do all this dyeing that we're going to do, each bottle that you see has 2 ounces of denatured alcohol. And you can find that, we got one today at Walmart, $6.50, I think it was, $7.95 at Lowe's, etc. But anyways, you're going to use 2 ounces in here, okay? And so if you want to write notes, of course, you'll have this video. But every color that we're going to start off with, you're going to need 2 ounces of denatured alcohol and a 4-ounce bottle. So that's your first step. So then what you'll do is you're going to take your dye. Let me shake this up and not get it on me, as you've seen, if you're going to need an apron or not, like me, the teacher. But anyways, what you're going to do is take your bottle, take the lid off here, go in with your dye here. And this is very important, and it has to be done this way. You're going to take a full applicator. Let's see if I can get this.
Let me know, which camera do you want it on? Do you want it on the one facing the table, like the table?
Yeah, let's do that for right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Move the white bottle in the camera more. I don't know if Garth can maybe help you out. Might be helpful to have him.
Where am I at? Got to go back this way.
Yeah.
All right.
Other way. Other way. Other way.
What are you trying to do? I'm trying to find the camera. All right. Right. Anyways, I'm sorry there. But anyways, you're going to take a full applicator of the dye, put it in here, and you're going to swish it around and get all the dye off that as you can. Okay. And you're going to do it once again. Okay. But you're going to dry this thing right off and make sure nothing's in it, because you want full penetration once again of the black dye. It can be black oil dye or regular black dye. Okay. Okay. So now we've got all the excess taken out of there. We're going to do that one more time. Okay. So what you're going to do is you'll start with that. Okay. And actually this project right here was one of the beginning of my work with dye reduction. And this was created for music artists. So there again, squeeze, get all that excess out of there. Not that I'll be using that again, but that's the point of it. Okay. So just have an extra rag laying around to squeeze and get that excess dye off the applicator, or dauber, or however you want to say that. So okay, so what happens, we'll put the lid back on this. We're going to shake it up really good. Okay, so when you have a lot of alcohol here, okay, it looks very dark. And once the alcohol evaporates, it's going to lighten up. So never let the darkness scare you, because it's all the alcohol that is in the dye that's giving it that look. So in other classes, how we put the rag up to the mouth of it and load the rag and then set it down. So you can watch this happen. We're going to come in, let's see right here, because I'm watching the camera. You can see how dark that's getting. Okay, so you'll see as this dry, you see back here what's happening. Okay, so years and years of doing this, and I'm talking from all the different people that make leather dye. I've yet to see one of them make gray leather dye. Usually it has a chalky feeling in it, or just it's not gray in the end. And so as you're seeing here, see it's lightening up. Everybody see that all right? How that edge is getting lighter. So anyways, while that lightens up, while that air dries, once that dries, then what you'll be doing later, if that's light enough, dark enough for you. So say if we want it lighter, then we just say swipe it once. Well, let's put a little more on the bottle here. Okay, so there's one swipe there. And you can see now what this is happening here. This is lightening up here. Okay, so now we're going to hit it again. I'm going to come over here because we have that little bit of streak like there. You're going to come right in like that, and then across the top. So whether this is tan, which we're going to be doing other colors, this happens to be black, but we're creating gray is what we're doing here. And then you can build it and build it if you want. Say that you want it darker, then you're going to go back and grab another applicator of the black dye, put it in there and swoosh it and get it out of there. And then that will increase the strength of the pigment, that's going to go in there and darken it for us. So it's starting to lighten up pretty good here. So you can certainly see that. Can people see the detail on that good or not, Amanda? So anyways, there's that. So we're gonna go to another color. Okay, so this will be using cordovan leather dye, this one. Let you get a marker on that. Mark that for me, please. So there again, we're going to get 2 ounces of denatured alcohol in your 4-ounce bottle. Give yourself a fresh dauber. And there again, 1. And say you're doing a carving area in that, and not a big area such as this, then of course you're going to use a brush, the same thing, but you're just not as much on the tip of the brush, and that way you don't get blotches, dark spots, and light spots. And just for fun, we'll just show you here with just one applicator with the cordovan, which is we're gonna, of course, this is gonna reduce it tremendously, being we're down to just one dauber, but that's just gives you an idea how much it changes it. Shake it up. Okay, so this is just one dauber with our cordovan leather dye, Phoebes. So there's that. Okay, let's go another. All right, so well, as you can see, I keep wiping, and I'm getting more color out of it. Really coming up nice now. So let's go just for fun. We'll go and we'll put a second applicator of Cordovan in it. So you can see just how much it can be diluted. So there again, we'll put that in there. Okay, so now we'll put the lid on that. And we'll shake this up. So now we're going with two applicators. So you can see how it's bringing that up. I mean, you could swipe that thing 15, 20 times, and each time you're going to bring it up darker and darker. So I'm going to keep putting it on there. And so, I mean, as you're doing your belt or your wallet, whatever that may be, you just, you're in control the whole time here because you can bring it up one shade at a time. Say, I want it a little darker, see what's happening there. See, it's a little lighter there. So I'm going to come down here. You can see what's happening. You just it's really cool because you can get so many shades. Okay, and say we want to go, let's bring it up even a little more. We want a little more brown to it. Yeah, that's looking nice, very nice. So just for fun, we'll add one more applicator to it. So it brings up the depth of the color even a little more. So there again, put your lid back on. Okay, so now it should bring it up even a little quicker. So we're now at 3. So this was 2. It's drying back a little bit, but so we want to go a little darker. So now we're at 3. So the point is, can you imagine taking an airbrush and have to pour some in the cup of it at the top and try to mix the alcohol correctly, and then take it and spray it on another piece of leather? Oh, does that look good? Now let's change that again. Let's add a little more. Spray it on this piece. Is it good? It just, there's a lot of time and work into it, and to do an airbrushing. And so even at what I'm trying to get at here is you just don't have to dye the whole thing that color. And like I've taught in the earlier classes, you want to fade it from the edge, then you can go just from the edge. For example, we'll do that right now so you get to see what I'm talking about. People haven't seen this before. We're going to dye this edge right here. So I'm going to make sure this is folded nice. I don't have So we're gonna get right up here close, and you're gonna put a crease right in the rag as I've taught before. Just like that. And there again, this is dauber number 3. Turn on its side. Starting to get dry. So that's dauber number 3 there. Okay. So there again, you can see how it changed step by step. So say you could go back, say, okay, that's too dark. Well, now you know for 2 ounces of the alcohol in your bottle, you know only to do 2 next time, and you have your mix all done. It's marked on here what's in there. And that way you can then come in here and do your secondary color, which could be a little lighter brown, you know, your dark brown, and then your next color brown. Like you've seen put on the page of our site there, that you could have 11, 12 different shades. It's all what, you know, you want to do there to create the different colors. So yeah, I think that's pretty nice, isn't it, Garth? So that dark edge there, and it comes right into the second. Yeah, that's nice. So now what we'll do is, for fun, we're right down the same area. We're going to come in here with tan. In fact, British tan. Let's do that. British tan. So this one here, Garth, is 3/4 on this one. So there again, and there again, remember 32 cents here, 32 cents. So there again, you know, if you have a friend that does it, or you're in a leather guild, this is a great way to, everybody saves money that way. So now we'll be using the British tan by Phoebe's. Two ounces of denatured alcohol. Let's say Walmart was the cheapest price today. We went and checked it out, and that's where we got it. So save you some money there. Okay, and there again, rinse it out. And I think we'll stick with 2 on this one. Get it dried out. And 1 more. So there'd be a big point to this story at the end that I want to share with you. There again, dry your dauber out. You can use that later for the same color if you want to do a bigger area. So the 2 mix with 2 ounces of alcohol, and load your rag, give it some air. And now we're going to go down here. So there's British tan. See how fast that evaporated? You can hardly tell I did it. Just a tint. I'm going to do it again. See what happened there? Watch it evaporate. See there? So see that mark there? So I'm going to start right in front of it. Wipe it again, and then down over it. So what, 3, 4 times I've been across that now? See how nice and even that is? Yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet. So we might as well finish. Let's get down and get that other finish on this end, because I want to show you another step. So we'll turn this around right here. Try to get our best to match this in. So I think what I'll do, this lighten up a little bit too much for me. I'm gonna go back and hit it maybe once or twice with the rag again. That's right there. So there's about 3 or 4 more swipes there. Now we got it back up there. I'm happy with that. Okay, so we're at that point. I know the clock's ticking, but I'm having fun here. So this one's very detailed here. So what we'll do here, let's say we'll go down with straight black first on this. So we're not diluting this time. We're not diluting. We're going to use straight up black by Phoebe's. Phoebe's black oil dye. And there again, back to the point where we're gonna, people from the past will remember this. You're gonna put it up there, push, make a crease in the rag like that, and then go back and forth. And we're gonna bring it right up to the edge like that. And so I can tell the rag's drying. So if you look there, you can see a crease in the rag. It's kind of hard, I guess, when it's all black, but so we're gonna put a little more dye on it. Put it right in that crease again and down the edge. Finish that little bit right there. All right, so let's get the other side done here. About half of that is hanging off the edge of the table. Our Alexa's being mouthy out here today. So anyways, let's get this on here. Well, everything's kind of falling off, I guess. Okay, so we have straight up black oil dye there on that, on the edges. So what we'll do, I really like this last one we come up with our cordovan. I think, no, it was British tan. It was the British tan. So we put the cap on that, and just for fun, I'm going to shake it up. So anyways, here. Get this rag here ready. So you put it back up there. This was, I think, just 2, if I recall, wasn't it? I think it was 2. So let's go right down over top. 1, 2, 3. There's 4. Yeah, that's sweet. So it's going to evaporate a little bit here for us. So go back, put a little more. And you'll notice you pick up the black from the edge on each side from swipe it down. So flip your rag over to another spot, make it lay flat. Put it back on here, give it some air. And we'll swipe it, say 3 more times. Wow, that's sweet. Yeah. That is nice, very nice. All right, so we're at that point. Let's see. Okay. My son's telling me we're getting down on the clock here. So anyways, what we'll do here for fun, we never, let's see, let's do, I'm having a ball here. So I'm gonna probably get in trouble. So just to tell you a little story about this, this here, this tool here, the basic tool companies from California back in the 60s, they had this one half this size. And so I had a tool made twice the size. And then I had a smaller tool made half of that size. So I have three different size, this crown, we call it a crown because I do a tri-crown guitar strap. So what we'll do here for fun, we're just going to fade this in with our, let's go with our cordovan mix. Got that right here. So we'll do the cordovan mix on this one just for fun. Simply so we can get some different effects. Load the rag, tip it back. And there again, let's check that. That was 3. He wrote down there for us 3. It's a 3 mix, 3 daubers. So like I say, can you imagine, just imagine how many colors of one color you can do? It's endless. So let's get right down the edge of this baby. See, it's got to come up in there closer. It's got to be more flush on the edge so we don't cause issues when we go. So let's get some dye back on there. So let's go right down the edge here. And there again, this was the 3 dauber mix here. So we want to kind of get right in there, right to where the top of the crown ends. To the inside, not at the top, of course. So you can kind of see the groove there in the line come in there. As you can tell, once I get into this, I'm pretty excited because we do so many different things. It's awesome. And there again, if you really even think of this, we haven't had, using a sealer for resistance even. So can you imagine even that if you were using that with this, how many more options you would have? Lighten up a little bit right there for us. So okay, so there's our 3 mix cordovan there, 3 daubers to 2 ounces of denatured alcohol. That's what's there. So what we'll do, we're going to go back and we're going to grab, and I think we'll just, for grins there, we're just going to go straight up antique, like an earth tone brown. And that way we have two nice colors of brown, where here we're going to have black, straight up black with, let's see, that middle one was a 2 dauber mix on the British tan here. So what we're going to do now is we'll take our sealer. And I didn't even get into that one. I don't know how much time you have. But let me get this other rag here going for us. So if you recall, this is kind of like doing the carnauba thing, except we're going to pick up the excess dye laying off the surface that's on the surface here. Just gently. You can see what you're getting there, just those few swipes. Find a clean spot. And add a little bit more to my rag. I'm starting to get a little bit of luster there. That's looking nice, very nice. I'm just a little bit more, just a little bit more. I can feel the rag just glide across there too. Okay, so I didn't forget this one. I think what we'll do before I go to seal, I'm going to come right down this edge with black to give it more contrast. So what we'll do, we'll keep this neutral right to the center. And then we'll keep this that was the 3/4 VIN mix we did there. So right now we're picking up the excess dye. And when you think there's not a whole lot, but every bit's important because we only had 3 daubers of cordovan in that. So you don't see a whole lot being picked up there because of that. But we're getting that center sealed really nice. Let me tell you, that's going to look sweet when that antique goes in there. Got a little heavy there down in the tooling. Whoops. Move down there. Yeah, that is going to look nice. Very nice. Okay, so you can kind of see how those are coming together. Okay. We're fine. That's just plain. You recall that. So what we'll do is we need to seal that, get that surface sealed up, get the excess dye off that. So as I say, you can just imagine how many different colors there is doing this dye reduction. And that's the reason it's called reduction. You're reducing the colors tremendously, but you get to pull it back up and just build the color, build the color, and build the colors. It's almost endless, the color of one color you can get. And not much on that. So you can, if you look back from before, how dark that was, that gray. It's much lighter now. So, but what I want to get back at, this is what's really crucial. That means a lot to me because it's about saving money once again. And that's what I'm trying to teach. So you're not spending a lot of money. So any of those companies that you buy your stuff from, wherever that may be, I'm showing you this, of course, because you can get light brown antique, dark brown antique, tan antique, yellow antique. There's so many different colors of antique. Okay. All you have to do is create these other colors. There could be 100 different colors when you're working with shades like this. Okay. And when you're done making these different shades, you only need the one antique. Right now. So the point is, I'm saying is people out there that buy the different colors of antique, okay, whether it's Speed Bands or whether it's Tandy's glow stuff, they have all these different colors. So you're spending money on 6, 7, 8 other colors of antique to rub on. You know, so the point is if there's darkness down into your work, you can create any color on the top. And this is the only, that's the only antique you need, the only color. I mean, so you can have all your colors of dye, but you can make 12, 13 shades of every color. And this is the only antique you ever need. You don't need to spend money on all these colors of antique and wasting your money. There again, no, I don't know everything, but I think 50 years says something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down the edge here with the black dye. There again, load your rag. Okay, so we have more to show over here for contrast. I'm going to dye this edge here in with black. And come right down here. We'll go right up to that line. You know, I guess so the point is, I mean, you can buy the different color dyes and then you can buy the different color antiques. But the whole point of the story is, why are you spending money on having 5, 6, 7, 8 colors of antique when you can do it with this technique? And that's the whole point. It's about saving you folks money. And so I hope everybody understands the point of what I'm doing here and the reason I'm showing you this. Yeah, does anybody have any questions out there? Okay, so we'll go ahead and fade this in a little bit on this edge, right up to that top there. Close that in. And there again, as I was saying, you know, you have the airbrushes out there, and you can use this same technique, except put it in the airbrush. But there's so many projects when people are learning to use an airbrush, unless you have years of experience doing it, it's something I wouldn't suggest when you can do it this way. And you can use spun brushes, you know, different hair brushes, camel brushes, and you can use the same dye mixes, but you use brush into detailed areas, in carving areas where your veiner is going around in a point, and then your cam tool is going around in a curve. You can go in and use these same mixes with brushes versus trying to do it and fade in with an airbrush, and save yourself money, of course, at the same time. And that's there again, that's the point about the class too. So last but not least, we'll get the sealer on this. So while I'm getting this sealed, does anybody have questions out there? Okay, so now we're gonna seal up this, the black and the gray. And the gray is gonna get darker from the moisture from the sealer. And I'm keeping the rag straight, so I'm not getting dye in the center on the gray. Now we're getting some luster. We're picking up the excess dye that's there on the surface, as you can see. So you can see that that's really nice. You see the gray contrast there. So there again, now we're gonna buff and not clean. So we'll just hold all these up together and we'll take the soft hair chrome tan piece of sheepskin and we're gonna gently buff all of them at the same time. And we'll turn those around. And buff them. Okay, so we have them ready to go for, our antiquing. That one is really gonna pop, really gonna pop. So anyways, let's start off with this one. We'll get our light brown antique by Angelus. There again, when you look in your file, you're gonna see a special code that the owners put in there. And you just have to make sure you have that code and you're gonna get your special discount price because of my class. So we'll take the light brown antique by Angelus here. I think it's going to come out here. Guess it's not. So we'll just do it like this. Real simple. Rub it down in there. Real gently pick up the excess. Make sure it's flat. So that almost looks like giving yourself a mahogany kind of look. When you look at that. So we'll go with the reduced, see, this is the two dauber with a black edge on this one. This is going to stand out nice. Okay, so let's go with the black and the gray. And there again, as long as you keep darkness down in your tooling, your cut of your impression, this antique will stay down in there. And when it dries, it virtually looks almost black. So, and that's why it's important that there's depth in your tooling, because that way, when it dries, it looks black. So you have the antique, your gray black antique there. And here's the one that will really pop for us. This one here. This would probably be a big seller here if you did it on a belt. So there again, I'm going to make sure it's flat, rub it on there. One more time down on this end. White, almost gloss. It's a beautiful finish there. So I think that kind of covers everything as far as that goes, as far as the dye reduction. But there again, no matter what color you have in your dye, okay, you can create just with some dye solvent, denatured alcohol, you can create, endless shades of every color. So that way, the whole point of it is you have so many different avenues and techniques of staining your leather, dyeing your leather, antiquing your leather, however you want to call that, by doing this method and not spending money on a bunch of different colors of antique when you can go do it this way. So I hope it was very helpful today, and I hope you get a lot out of it. And there again, it's another way of putting it in and put it into on a brush and do detailed areas, not just with a dauber, not just with a rag, but you can do this with a brush or a Q-tip into further detailed areas, like in your big areas on carvings, on fenders of horses, horse saddles, and stuff like that. So anyways, I hope this was helpful today, and I appreciate your time. And I appreciate my son Garth and my daughter Amanda helped me with this as well. So if there's any questions for me,